My name's Kevin Cooney. I'm the sports writer for the Bucks Courier, and this is Drew Markol from the Intelligencer, and now I'm a member of the Mouseketeers after a trip to Disney last week.
Well, Disney World, Kev. I'm doing fine. I got to tell you, I didn't miss you.
Same here. We'll look at the upcoming week ahead and some of the news and notes going on around high school football. We'll start this show by talking about Southern, who last week lost the Central Bucks West at War Memorial to fall to 2-2, and Southern was a team a lot of people have postseason aspirations for. They come out of the gate and beat the Chamonix, they beat Downingtown East, but they've lost to Roman Catholic and CB West and at Pembridge this week. What's going on with that Gallagher squad, Drew?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, Roman Catholic, which is a very good team, took a lot of the starch out of Souderton in a game they probably did not think they had a chance to lose. Then they figure they got to play a West team that has been struggling, and all of a sudden, they lose to West, and now they're in trouble.
Every team has injuries. Souderton's have more injuries than most. At this point, though, this is a kind of a turning point in their season. It could go one of two ways, can't it, in a hurry?
Absolutely could. And with the way Pembridge is playing, a surprise at 3-1. They lost to a good North Catholic team, so you can't really, fault them for that. But the winner of this one is looking good. The loser, maybe looking, on the wrong side of the glass.
And especially when you look at Souderton and Pembridge both have North Penn up ahead on their schedule.
And Quakertown you can't forget.
And Quakertown, of course, for Pembridge, with Quakertown on Thanksgiving, it wouldn't really affect their points.
True.
We'll get back to the Suburban 1 League in a second, but we'll talk now about the game we're at, or the game we're looking forward to, and the place we're at. We're at Archbishop Wood High School here in Warminster, and we're going to talk about Wood and West Catholic. For years, these have been the two teams that have dominated the Blue Division. However, that has now changed. The Blue Division doesn't exist anymore. Wood will play in AAA. West Catholic plays in AA, and they'll meet up on Friday night in perhaps the most interesting game of the whole weekend slate. And Drew, these two teams they met 5 times against one another in the Blue Division final. It became a pretty good rivalry. What do you expect out of these two this year?
No, it absolutely did. With Wood won the first 3 championships, and the West has won the last 2. They're both good programs. I feel that the game has just been kind of cheapened though, because they're not going to meet in the playoffs. This isn't any kind of playoff preview or anything. It's just 2 good teams going at it, which you always like to see. But this is it. No matter what happens, win, lose, or draw, they're not going to play again.
And the thing that's interesting to me is the fact that Wood has continued to be successful, despite the fact they've had 3 coaches in 7 years. I mean, you look at Art Barrett, that went to Joe Powell, now it's Steve Devlin. The program has changed. The systems have changed a little bit,
right? But
the program has remained on top. How has that happened?
Well, you name the coaches. Those have been 3 good coaches, though. I mean, there's not a clunker in that group to kind of upset anything. They've been lucky that they've had 3 good hires for the position. I'm sure they would hope that they had stayed around a little bit longer, but that didn't happen. But it all comes down so much of it in high school football is coaching, and they've had a couple of good ones, so they've kept it going.
And when you look at Wood, 3-1 coming in, West Catholic is considered by many to be the best AA team in the state. This is a matchup of 2 teams that could very easily make it deep into November and probably win the state title in each of their conferences.
Kev, getting back to the SOL National, it looks like we're kind of finally getting to a point where the water is sort of leveling out. You have the Chamonix and Pennsbury atop of the heap, which doesn't surprise anyone. That next tier, and it's not very far below, you have Council Rock South and Abington. What is your take on the way how the things are filtering out in the National?
It's strange because I think before the year we all wondered, all right, will the National only get 2 in?
Right.
And that seemed after getting 4 in last year in the old format, that seemed like, wow, it seems like the whole conference is down. But Abington and South both going undefeated in their non-league schedule. Then both playing tough games last week. South lost by 7. Abington lost by 7 last week at the Chamonix. South lost against Pennsbury. You're starting to see the basis of a possible 3 or 4 teams from the National getting in. And here's how. Assuming that you give those other teams a loss against the team they didn't play. In other words, Pennsbury or Neshaminy. They both played Pennsbury and Neshaminy last week. When you do the other crossover, you give those teams a loss. The winner of that Abington CR South game down the road will probably get in. And right now, I gotta like see our South's chances with Russ Chikrin, Terrence Montgomery. They have a real quality team who seems real balanced and able to run the football very effectively, balanced offensively and defensively.
I agree, but again, which bothers me tremendously. But when you look at last year's district playoff field, you have 16 teams getting in. You had 4 lost teams last year that made it. So even if one of those teams were to lose a 4th game along the line, the loser of, say, when they play each other, plus a loss to either Pennsbury and Neshaminy, there's 3 losses. Even if they drop another loss somewhere,
Ben Salem,
right, one of those teams, their losses are going to be against very good teams. So, would it be a shock if even 4 teams get in from the National? Not at all.
Finally, here on this day, we're going to have a rant by Drew Markol about the weather.
I didn't get I wasn't here last week for the In the Huddle segment, but 2 weeks ago on that rainy Friday night, there was no reason, Kev, those games should have been played. It was a mess. I know there are schools that have AstroTurf fields, and they all spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and feel they have to justify playing on nights like that. But for the schools that don't, I was at the North Penn prep game. It was just a mess. Players coming up to North Penn coach Dick Beck, and after running into the opposition and saying, "Coach, I didn't know he was not on my team. It was so muddy. It was just a disgrace. Those games should have been postponed to Saturday. None of them were, and you don't get a true barometer of the quality of the opponents or the game."
I'll agree with you on natural turf fields. Okay, and North Penn is a natural turf field. That game should have been postponed. Well, what's wrong with playing on AstroTurf?
Well, I know you're not a big fan of the bands.
Oh, come on.
The bands get a finite amount of time to play. The fans, you're keeping away your fans, because who wants to come out and sit in the rain? You're keeping away your student body who doesn't want to come out and sit in the rain. All it takes is a call to say, okay, this is.
But it's not an injury risk. It's not an injury risk. And that's the only reason games should be called. It's an injury risk. If you're on a natural turf field, games should be called for an injury risk and cost, okay? I mean, because of the guy, we only know what North Penn's going to end up paying to refurbish that field after this mess. But to me, to cancel a football game because the bands can't play is absolutely ridiculous.
It's not all about the band. It's about the fans who can't go or
get an umbrella.
Oh my! I'll tell you what, Kev, you're
No, I'm serious. Because
we've all covered games in the snow and the rain. It has nothing to do with that. It's just when you have the field, what's the big deal? We'd love to know what you think, and it's easy to do. Just go to www.bucksmontsportsnow.com and to write us, send us a question, a comment, any kind of feedback on what's good, what's bad, what you'd like to see. Again, please let us know, because this is new to us and it's new to you. But we'd love to hear from you. Again, www.bucksmontsportsnow.com is the way to do it.
Plus, to stay in tune with your community and for all your information needs, there's 2 websites that cover Bucksmont like no other. It's www.couriertimesnow.com and www.intelligencernow.com. Updated 24 hours a day. It's a continuous news site that covers everything, news and sports and all the goings on in your community. That's Courier Times Now and Intelligencer Now, your one-stop stop for local news.